Well, he's the host of a chat show with a difference, and Graham Norton's wit is so very infectious. Many of the world's biggest actors, singers and the odd politician have sat on his famous red sofa.
Talk shows are often hailed as the pinnacle of celebrity polish, where every interview is carefully choreographed to present stars at their very best. Yet every now and then, there's one show where that filter vanishes and the real personalities shine through, sometimes in hilariously chaotic ways. The Graham Norton Show, with its signature red sofa and inviting atmosphere, has pulled off some of the most unpredictable and side-splittingly funny moments in modern television. Fans know that once Graham starts asking questions, anything can happen, whether it's a spontaneous confession, a shocking prank, or a comedic story so embarrassing it becomes the stuff of internet legend.
But talking to people that you've worked with, you are known as this kind of the positive force on set. You know, we can do this. The kind of we can do this. Is it true that Emily Blunt did break your spirit?
The brilliance of the Graham Norton Show lies in its approach. Multiple A-list guests sharing the same couch, egging each other on, and reacting in real time to the strangest personal story. From unscripted kisses that leave the other person speechless, to cringe-worthy slip-ups involving wardrobe mishaps or near disasters on a date, there's never a dull moment. It's this blend of star power, spontaneity, and a distinctly British sense of humor that keeps viewers glued to the screen and rewatching clips on repeat long after the credits roll. However, with great comedic opportunity comes even greater unpredictability. Some guests arrive with a plan to share a few charming anecdotes.
You and your suit is like on your groin and like people are miserable. People are just like hanging like this, just waiting for them to just shout action.
Others, they stroll in like natural-born storytellers, blissfully unconcerned about whether their confessions might raise an eyebrow or two. The result is a wild roller coaster of outrageous interactions. Tom Cruise doing voice impressions out of nowhere, Jennifer Aniston weeping with laughter because the studio audience collectively trolled her with a Friends-themed clap, Paul Rudd recounting a double date so disastrous he nearly ended up in a hospital. The list goes on. Below, we're diving into 8 moments that perfectly capture the unpredictable magic of Graham's famous red sofa. Each section spotlights a different guest, or group of guests, who triggered either uncontainable laughter, heartfelt surprise, or a collective gasp of disbelief that echoed in living rooms worldwide. So buckle in. Whether you're new to these legendary interviews or you've seen them a dozen times, there's always something fresh to discover about what happened behind the scenes, and on that now iconic stage. Tom Cruise is known for his high-octane stunts in action films, but if you've seen his appearances on The Graham Norton Show, you know his energy isn't reserved for the big screen alone. The man can entertain. One appearance in particular stands out. He joined a star-studded lineup featuring Emily Blunt, Charlize Theron, and Seth MacFarlane. Now, Seth MacFarlane is famous for voicing numerous characters on Family Guy, including the notorious parody of Cruise himself, Tiny Tom Cruise. You'd expect some awkwardness, right? But Tom wasn't having it. Instead of shying away, he leaned in and asked Seth to show off his many vocal talents. What unfolded next was a comedic escalation that delighted everyone on set. MacFarlane demonstrated impression after impression, from classic cartoon characters to random celebrity. Tom, refusing to be overshadowed, performed his own bizarre rendition of Donald Duck. Was it good? Well, let's just say the enthusiasm was off the charts, even if the accuracy was questionable. The best part, however, came when Seth began reciting Liam Neeson's iconic "I will find you and I will end you" speech from Taken as Kermit the Frog. Hearing that harmless, gentle Kermit voice deliver a threat so intense made the entire couch, and the audience, roar with laughter. It's moments like these that remind us why people love Graham's show. You never know when an action icon will break character and do something utterly silly. In the span of just a few minutes, Cruise, known for taking himself quite seriously, transformed into a giddy kid, practically bouncing in his seat. It's also a testament to Seth MacFarlane's comedic genius and the freewheeling atmosphere. If you can make Tom Cruise giggle at a version of himself, you've pretty much won talk show gold. Transition thought. You might think no guest could possibly upstage that level of spontaneous fun. But when Meryl Streep is involved, alongside a quick-witted Mark Ruffalo.
So a lot's changed in the last 5 years for you.
Yeah.
Good, Mark. Good.
Unexpected moments can spark out of nowhere, leaving one star literally speechless. Imagine you're Mark Ruffalo, sitting on the famous red couch, next to arguably the greatest living actor in Hollywood, Meryl Streep. She's casually recounting how, once she hit a certain age, Every script sent her way tried to cast her as a witch. It's a funny but pointed commentary on how the industry typecasts women after they reach their 40s. As Meryl talked about how she was offered a string of witch roles in just 1 year, Mark jumped in with a playful remark, something along the lines of, "Well, a lot must have changed in the last 5 years for you." Clearly, he was flirting with the line between cheeky banter and respectful admiration. Without missing a beat, Meryl turned to Mark and planted a swift, full-on kiss right on his lips. The audience exploded. Who sees that coming? Mark's reaction was priceless. He practically melted into the sofa, looking like he just won the Lifetime Achievement Award in most unexpected and completely surreal on-air moment. His wide-eyed expression said it all. Was that real? Did Meryl Streep actually just do that? For viewers at home, it felt like a fever dream. The beloved Marvel star and the multi-Oscar-winning legend spontaneously locking lips on a talk show. This is the kind of unpredictable magic that has made Graham Norton's set so iconic. Even Meryl, the consummate professional, seemed to enjoy throwing everyone off guard. The moment was playful, respectful, and undeniably hilarious. A perfect snapshot of how comfortable guests become on this show. Transition thought.
Ollie.
Yeah, I know. Why'd you do this to me every
I'm
time?
sorry. I guess no one told you life was going to be this way.
If the crowd erupted for Mark Ruffalo's starstruck reaction, the next moment had an even bigger shock factor for the show's special guest. When Jennifer Aniston walked out to promote a new film, the last thing she expected was an audience prank that hit her right in the nostalgic feel. For Jennifer Aniston, Friends references are old news. She's fielded them for years. She probably thought she was well prepared for any question or tidbit Graham might throw her way. Little did she know, Graham had orchestrated a sneaky trick with the live studio audience that would catch her completely off guard. Midway through the interview, Aniston was reminiscing about her time on Friends, working alongside co-star Jason Bateman, and joking about how no one ever lets her move on from Rachel Green. That's when Graham casually uttered the now immortal phrase, "No one told you life was going to be this way." The second he said it, the entire crowd clapped in unison, perfectly timing those iconic beats from the Friends theme song. The effect was instantaneous. Aniston's eyes widened, her jaw dropped, and she burst into laughter that edged on tears of joy. She had absolutely no idea the audience had spent precious rehearsal time nailing that synchronized clap just to surprise her. Her reaction was genuine and heartfelt. After a moment of stunned disbelief, she asked, "Have you all been practicing that?" Then the audience erupted again, cheering for the chance to give her a one-of-a-kind welcome. Even Bateman, normally the laid-back straight man in these interviews, couldn't hide a grin. Moments like these remind us of the almost childlike joy that can surface when a celebrity is caught in a spontaneous wave of nostalgia. Watching her try to hold back laughter, you realize the reason we all fell in love with Aniston in the first place. That authenticity, that real sense of humor. Transition thought. While Jen's surprise was all in good fun, some stories on this show don't end so innocently.
Doors on it or a roof or anything like that. And I was driving. I thought it'd be really funny if, while I was talking to my date, who was riding in the seat next to me, if I just stepped out and started running alongside the car.
Let's talk about Paul Rudd and the double date from the underworld, because not only did it fail to impress, it nearly sent him to the ER. We've all had bad dates, but Paul Rudd's story might top them all. He was on a double date, and the vibe? Already awkward. In desperation to lighten the mood, or maybe just to crack up his buddy, Rudd got an idea. Why not do something silly like stepping out of the moving car and running alongside? In movies, that stunt might seem playful, but real life rarely cooperates with comedic timing the way film scripts do. Paul thought the car was going slow enough, maybe just a few miles per hour. In reality, the speed was faster than he assumed. The moment his foot touched the pavement, he realized he had miscalculated badly. He slammed onto the road face first, in a tumble of limbs and regret. The car, still moving, nearly rolled over him. His date and the other passengers panicked, screeching the car to a halt just in time. So there he was, bruised, bleeding, and painfully aware that the next day he'd be telling the story of how he almost got run over by his own date's car. If that doesn't kill the mood, nothing will. He climbed back in, and the rest of the ride was silent, save for the occasional pained gasp whenever he tried to shift his scraped-up knees. When he shared this tale on Graham's couch, everyone burst into laughter, though there was an undercurrent of, "Oh my gosh, that could have been so much worse." Only Paul Rudd could nearly end a date in the emergency room and somehow make it comedic gold. Transition thought. Dating disasters are bad, but few experiences can compare to being mortified in front of your entire class, especially when you're the teacher.
Bunch of busload of kids. It's frankly amoral.
Greg Davies lived that scenario, then told the world about it in excruciating detail. Before Greg Davies became a household name in British comedy, he spent years as a secondary school teacher. If you know his comedic style, wry, self-deprecating, and brutally honest, you can imagine the sort of stories he collected in that time. But one anecdote in particular stands out for how spectacularly humiliating it was. Greg admitted he'd been out drinking the night before and woke up late, scrambling to get to school. In his rush to throw on clothes, he accidentally grabbed a pair of underwear that didn't belong to him. They were his mother's, mixed into his clean laundry. He only realized this horrifying wardrobe malfunction midway through the workday when he felt a little off, stepped into the staff restroom to investigate, and saw, in his words, lace that definitely wasn't mine. If that weren't enough, nature called it precisely the wrong moment. Let's just say his stomach did not appreciate the previous night's party. Disaster escalated when he remembered he was wearing a microphone connected to the hearing-impaired student's classroom speaker. While he was in the stall dealing with the messy aftermath, his students heard every gasp, groan, and mortified exclamation. By the time he returned, the class was wide-eyed, half in shock, half in uncontrollable laughter. When Davies laid all this out on the Graham Norton show, leaving no detail spared, the other guests practically cried laughing, while the audience howled with equal parts glee and sympathy. Is it any wonder he eventually left teaching for the safer world of stand-up comedy? Transition thought. If you think that's outrageous, just wait until we tackle the queen of unfiltered storytelling, Miriam Margolyes.
Now, talking of mining people's lives for drama and comedy, Miriam Margolyes, things happen to you. Like, is it your house near Dover?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I do rent my house.
Her stories are so candid, even Hollywood icons sometimes can't handle the shock. Miriam Margolyes walks onto the set, and producers everywhere reach for the bleep button. Why? Because no one, not even Graham, can predict what might come out of her mouth. From revealing intimate fantasies about meeting Sir Laurence Olivier, to detailing her unexpected arrest and strip search many years ago, Margolyes spares no detail, no matter how personal or outlandish. One legendary moment saw her describing a literal physical reaction upon meeting Olivier, someone she clearly admired with great intensity. Let's just say she used descriptive language about her undergarments and left both Matthew Perry and Gemma Arterton squirming on the couch, unsure whether to laugh or politely faint. Another time, she admitted that in her youth, she once offered A.U.'s soldier a certain intimate favor, on air, in front of Stanley Tucci. Stanley jokingly walked off set, unable to contain his shock and laughter. Despite the jaw-dropping nature of her confessions, the audience adores Miriam because she's unapologetically herself. She seems to relish the blend of mortification and delight she triggered. You can almost see Graham's eyes twinkle with excitement and mild panic whenever she settles in. Will he have to cut something out? Will the BBC censors ring the alarm? Probably, but that's half the fun. Fans of Margolyes tune in specifically to hear what stunning revelation she'll casually drop next, reminding us all that honesty, however unnerving, can be downright hysterical. Transition thought. While Miriam's self-made surprises come from the heart.
Now, as you know, Emma, it is very rare for more than one Spice Girl to appear together for any reason at all. So, they're not here.
Sometimes Graham orchestrates a stunt. Enter Emma Stone, the mega Spice Girls superfan who got totally blindsided by one of Graham's cruelest jokes. Emma Stone's fangirl devotion to the Spice Girls is no secret. She grew up idolizing them, especially Emma Bunton, Baby Spice. So when she sat on Graham's couch alongside her amazing Spider-Man co-stars, Andrew Garfield and Jamie Foxx, everyone knew the topic would come up sooner or later. Stone, with endearing excitement, confessed she'd never actually met any of the Spice Girls. Graham's eyes lit up mischievously. He began hyping up a special surprise, letting the tension build as Stone's face went through every stage of anticipation, shock, hope, and borderline tears of joy. Was Emma Bunton about to come strolling on stage? Were the Spice Girls about to reunite for the biggest fangirl moment of Emma Stone's life? The entire studio held its breath, only for Graham to reveal it was all a prank. No Spice Girls, just a playful troll. Emma Stone handled it with good humor, but you could see that twinge of heartbreak in her eyes. Garfield, no stranger to teasing her, doubled over in laughter, exclaiming something like, "Oh, that's cruel." That short roller coaster ride from overjoyed hope to mild devastation made for a hilarious segment. Cruel, yes, but unforgettable. The silver lining? Stone did eventually meet Emma Bunton for real, years later, which made the moment all the sweeter. But talk show watchers will never forget that fleeting second when she truly believed her Spice Girl dream was coming true on live TV. Transition thought. If you think that moment was chaotic, just wait until you hear about Carrie Fisher's candid conversation with Daisy Ridley.
It has caused a sensation. You would think that people would kind of go, oh, two young actors, yeah, of course they had an affair. But this has caused ructions.
400,000 news services picked it up.
Wow.
The original princess of Star Wars had some stern and scandalously funny warnings for the new generation. Carrie Fisher was the ultimate Hollywood truth teller. She saw the industry's bright lights and its dark underbelly. When she joined the Graham Norton show to promote Star Wars, The Force Awakens alongside Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, fans expected a nostalgic conversation about her iconic role as Princess Leia. What they got instead was a hilariously blunt forecast of what might happen to Daisy as she stepped into the global spotlight. Fisher recounted a run-in with a particularly enthusiastic Star Wars fan who declared he'd thought about her every day from the ages of 12 to 20. When Fisher probed, every day, the fan clarified, well, 4 times a day. Cue audience laughter and a wave of comedic disgust from John Boyega and Daisy Ridley, who appeared simultaneously amused and appalled by the revelation. Fisher's point was crystal clear. Once you're in the Star Wars saga, fans can form intense attachments, even downright bizarre ones. She looked at Daisy with a sympathetic smile and basically said, "This is coming your way, dear." Daisy's reaction was an intriguing mix of flattery and horror, underscoring how complicated it can be to step into a beloved franchise that's built on decades of fandom. For viewers, the lesson was simple. Carrie Fisher had been there, done that, and had the bizarre stories to prove it. If you become a pop culture icon, brace yourself for fans who might admire you with a frequency that's more than a little alarming. When it comes to late-night talk shows, The Graham Norton Show is a breed apart. Graham's easygoing style, the legendary red couch, and the assembly of multiple A-listers all at once create a perfect storm for comedic gold and genuinely unfiltered moments. Whether it's Tom Cruise embracing his silly side, Paul Rudd surviving a near-death date, or Miriam Margolyes raising eyebrows with stories not suitable for daytime television, there's a kind of collective excitement in the air that almost dares each guest to reveal something surprising. What truly sets this show apart is the shared environment. It's not just one celebrity chatting with a host while others wait backstage. Instead, all the guests lounge together, sipping drinks, reacting to each other's stories, and egging each other on. That dynamic builds a sense of camaraderie and sometimes playful competition, where each guest strives to be more memorable than the last. It's why we get these unrehearsed kisses, audience-led pranks, confessions about personal hygiene disasters, and downright shocking revelations about fans. There's an understanding that anything can happen here, and that's precisely why viewers tune in season after season. If one thing's for sure, these 8 moments barely scratch the surface of the Graham Norton Show's treasure trove of hilarity. Behind every interview is the possibility of an unplanned anecdote or an off-the-cuff remark that sets social media ablaze. Fans never know which celebrity will upend their carefully crafted public persona with a single slip of the tongue. And that unpredictability? It's exactly what keeps us coming back. After all, late-night TV can sometimes feel a bit too scripted, a bit too tidy. But on Graham's sofa, the silliest, strangest, and most authentic sides of stardom take center stage, guaranteeing we'll still be talking about these moments for years to come.